What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Took the last couple days off, so we got a lot to talk about in the NFL world. But first, we had two moves happen in baseball, two trades. One's been finalized, one appears to about to be finalized. Minnesota Twins make a small trade with the Marlins. They get first baseman Eric Wegeman. They send pitching prospect Cade Bragg to Minnesota. Wegeman last year hit 259 home runs, 53 RBI, 674 OPS. So not great, but is still young. Also wasn't great defensively, but can play first, can play a little bit of third. He's even played the outfield briefly. Twins pick him up. And Cade Bragg goes to the Marlins last year, but started in in low A, ended up in double A. 42 games out of the bullpen, 2.94 ERA, 67 in the third, 5 saves. He's going to be 24 years old this year. Maybe he'll eventually factor into the Marlins bullpen in the 2026 season. Anyway, the big trade that isn't finalized yet necessarily, but appears to be very close to being finalized. I'm hoping it's finalized so we know the terms of it by the end of the show. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. May have to wait until tomorrow for that. But the Cubs are nearing a deal to acquire Marlins ace Edward Cabrera. Cabrera last year had a breakout season. 40 Marlins, 26 starts, went 8-7, 3.53 ERA, 137 and 2/3, 150 strikeouts against 48 walks. He had flash a little bit earlier in his career. He had an ERA of 3 in 14 starts in 2022. 20 starts in 2023, had a 4.24. 20 starts in 2024, had a 4.95. He struggled, but best year of his career. Injuries have definitely bit him. Thus far in his career, he's never made more than 26 starts in a season. Last year, he had a career high 26 starts and 137 2/3 innings, so he hasn't got like a true full workload yet. But he is going to be 28 years old, like second week of the season. Has a couple years of arbitration left. Marlins wanted to cash in on him. I'm surprised they didn't trade him at the deadline last year, to be honest. But he goes to the Cubs. This could be the Cubs' true first ace they've already had since Jake Arrieta. Of course, he won the Cy Young in 2015. And that rotation looks really, really strong. You got Cade Horton, who would have definitely won a rookie of the year last year if he didn't get hurt at the very end of the season, in my opinion. You had Cabrera. Matthew Boyd had a good year last year. James Tyone's in that rotation. You have Colin Rea there as well. So that should be a very good rotation in Chicago for the Chicago Cubs. But on the football side, let's recap Week 18 in the NFL. The Saturday games, the Bucks beat the Panthers 16-14. Bryce Young throws for 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had that fumble. Kid Otton, 94 yards and a touchdown as the Bucks keep their season alive for at least a day.
Inside the Buccaneers 35, initial pressure, and it's flipped to the edge here. Incomplete. Dowdle trying to get out in space. It was very close to being a backwards pass.
They have to try and get this ball out after the play action fake.
It is a backwards pass.
It's almost like that Seattle one from Thursday night 2 weeks ago.
11 straight 50-plus yard field goals until it was a 55-yarder blocked in Miami. Did not get a hold of that one at all. He's looking at the ground like the footing wasn't good. And ball's loose. Leggett Dowdle ball knocked loose. It looks like Levante David has it. Benjamin, also a first-round pick. From the pocket, Young looks end zone, jump ball, caught, touchdown. Jalen Coker. It's a bootleg. Mayfield on the move, flips it short, catch made, first down. Cade Otton, a monster game, a touchdown to open it, and perhaps a catch to seal it. 20 yards there.
So let's break down that highlight. It was third quarter, early on. Bucks up 13-7. So originally, looked like Bryce Young threw an incomplete pass. That's not that big of a deal. They're right in the middle of the field, 2nd and 10. But then on replay review, it showed that it was a backwards pass. As a result, that's a fumble and a recovery. Since they blew the play dead, it ends up being a loss of 6 yards for the Panthers, which comes back to bite them because they would miss a 54-yard field goal a few plays later. Fitzgerald just rough kick there. It was a very rainy evening in Tampa. And then, but later in the game, fourth quarter, it's 16-7, Bucks. Young and Dowdle on the exchange, on the handoff, have some trouble. They fumble, and then Bryce Young doesn't fall on it. Bucks end up getting it. People were comparing this to when Cam Newton fumbled in the Super Bowl in 2015, and he did fall on the fumble, which kind of led to the Panthers and losing that Super Bowl, and that was kind of the end of the reign for Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. At that time, remember they were 15-1 that season. Cam won the MVP that year, and Bryce Young doesn't do it in not quite a win or go home game, but very close to it. But then later in the quarter, about 2.5 to go, second and goal. Nice catch by Jalen Coker. Makes it 16-14 Bucks. But ensuing drive, 3rd and 4. Baker Mayfield rolls and finds Cade Otton, who had a big game, 94 yards on a touchdown for Cade Otton. That would seal it for the Buccaneers. They win 16-14. Both teams end up at 8-9. And the Seahawks beat the 49ers 13-3 Saturday night to seal the 1 seed. I don't remember the last time they were the 1 seed in the NFC, but they're 14-3, went 8-1 on the road. 49ers are up to 12-5 and into a wild card in the playoffs. 198 yards, 20 of 26 for Sam Darnold in the win. But Falcons defeat the New Orleans Saints to send the Carolina Panthers to the playoffs as the NFC South are at 8-9. Falcons somehow finished tied for first in the division after being eliminated from playoff contention on December 7th. That's amazing, honestly, how you even pull that off. But Falcons win 19-17.
Tyler Shough, and it's intercepted. The Falcon take away D. Alford on his way. Eventually slowed down. No problem here. A 19-10 advantage. Shough for the end zone. In the corner. One-handed. That's a touchdown, Ronnie Bell. Amazing catch. How creative can he be? It's got to go 10 unless touched by Atlanta. And it was out of bounds. That's Pitts all over it.
So not a super eventful game. Low to 3.5 to go. Tyler Shough is deep in Falcons territory and a brutal interception thrown by Tyler Shough, who's been really good down the stretch for the Saints. We'll definitely get another year, I think, next year as their starter. Brutal interception leads to a Falcons 38-yard field goal from Zane Gonzalez. Makes it 19-10 Falcons with less than 3 minutes to go. Shough would kind of redeem himself in the red zone again. There was a touchdown, very nice ball, great one-handed catch there from the Saints receiver. Makes it 19-17, but then Saints have to get an onside kick. That was Ronnie Bell who caught that touchdown, and the Falcons would easily recover it. Coppins recovers it with 1:11 to go. Now would do it. Falcons win 19-17. Saints finish at 6-11, but they play some good football down the stretch. 5-3 in the last 8 games. Kellen Moore did a good job. Tyler Shough should come back and get a second year as their starting quarterback. I think they'll be out of cap hell this year, and if so, Saints could possibly put some pieces together next year, put themselves possibly in a position to win the division next year. The division is very, very bad. It has been for a long time. Browns beat the Bengals 20-18. Really not much to see there. Two teams that had very bad seasons that were out of the race. However, Myles Garrett with a milestone sack.
First down. Burrow, he's under pressure, he's sacked! And there it is, a record that has stood nearly a quarter of a century has a new leader as 30-year-old Myles Garrett records his NFL record 23rd sack of the year.
That was Myles Garrett's 23rd sack of the season. That is a single-season record. First NFL player with 23 sacks in the season. TJ Watt tied Michael Strahan for 22.5 a couple of years ago. Obviously, Strahan played in a 16-game season. However, TJ Watt was hurt for 3 games in that season, so we technically did it in less games than Strahan. Of course, Mark Gastineau had 22 sacks way back when with the Jets. We all know how he reacted. He thought Brett Favre took a dive. We all saw that right before the documentary about the New York Stock Exchange came out last year. Hopefully, TJ Watt doesn't do the same, or Strahan to Joe Burrow in 20 years. That's some autograph signing thing. Because Burrow definitely did take a dive. We gotta stop. We do have to stop doing that. Just to get the guy a record. Okay, stop doing that. Especially as a division rival. No, the game didn't matter, but fourth quarter, late in the game, 1-score game. Stop doing that. In fact, Jamar Chase said the Bengals weren't happy that they stopped the game afterwards. Remember, that was It was on first down, so they were kind of like confused, like, oh, what the heck do we do? Like that shouldn't have happened. I should not have happened. But Browns win. They finished 5-12. Bengals finished at 6-11. Vikings beat the Packers 16-3. They finished 9-8 on the season. McCarthy played a little bit, then was eventually pulled for Max Brosmer. I'm assuming they want to get him hurt because he's had a lot of injuries this year. I assume they're sticking with him next year, though he was very bad this year for the most part. Packers didn't really play anybody, had their third string quarterback Clayton Tune start, locked into the 17th, deal with injuries all season. Didn't want to get anybody hurt before their playoff game. So, Vikings win that one. Vikings finish at 9-8, like I said. Packers finish at 9-7-1. Maybe they tied the Dallas Cowboys very early in the season. Speaking of the Cowboys, they lose to the Giants 34-17. Dak played about half this game. Joe Milton finishes up. Jackson Dart, 22 of 32 for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gunnar Olszewski is 102 yards receiving in this game. Giants finished at 4-13. Dallas finished at 7-9-1. Jaguars beat the brakes off the Tennessee Titans 41-7. Trevor Lawrence, 22 of 30 for 255 yards and 3 touchdowns. Great finish to the year for him. Jaguars finished at 13-4. They clinched the AFC South. Titans fall to 3-14 on the season. Great year for Jacksonville. You see that clip of, I guess Trevor Lawrence went to a bar after the game. He took a picture of some fan. It was a female fan. She was much shorter than him. And she squatted him on her shoulders. So bizarre. It's pretty funny. My thoughts were, God forbid she dropped him and he got hurt. Could you imagine the outcry? That would be horrific. It's wild, bizarre clip. That was kind of funny. Texans beat the Colts 38-30. Colts had Robbie Lawrence starting. They figured, already a little live in the playoff. Let's see what this kid's got. No reason to play a 50-year-old Phillip Rivers. And with the Texans, didn't play a lot of starters. Stroud was pulled, I think, second or third quarter, got pulled for Davis Mills. Their running back was this guy Brooks. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries at the running back spots. I don't even know who this dude is. British Brooks. His first name is British. That's bizarre. 13 carries, 63 yards for him. Texans end up pulling it out 38-30. What a finish to the year for Houston. After they started out 0-3, they've been 12 of their next 14 games. Go 12-5 and make the postseason as the first wild card in the AFC and only a game out of their own division. Bills beat the Jets 35-8 with Mitch Trubisky in there. Mitch Trubisky 25 of 29 for 259 yards and 4 touchdowns. Ray Davis, who got most of the reps for the Bills, by the way, Allen only played one play. He handed the ball off. He's got the longest active start streak in the league right now. I guess they didn't want to ruin that. So, I respect for him. They let him start. He handed the ball off one time in the first play. I got like a yard, and they took him out for Mitch Trubisky. I don't want to get him hurt. And then Ray Davis, 21 carries for 151 yards. I don't understand how Jets are keeping Aaron Glenn. Of all these head coach candidates available, my next segment is going to be all the head coaching carousel and the coaching carousel going on in the NFL, so we'll talk about it a little bit more. But how can you bring that guy back with freaking... You didn't have a single interception all season. The first team ever to do that since interceptions started being tracked back in 1932. By the way, your head coach, Aaron Glenn, is a former defensive coordinator in the NFL and was a Pro Bowl cornerback for the Jets back in the 90s. I don't understand. Mind-boggling. It's a horrific organization. Lions beat the Bears 19-16. Again, not a whole lot to see there. Lions finished 9-8 but missed the playoffs. Bears finished 11-6 and win the NFC North. Broncos over the Chargers 19-3. Chargers didn't play Justin Herbert in this game. Trey Lance started. Denver 14-3, clinched the 1 seed in the AFC. Raiders over the Chiefs 14-12. They had already clinched the number 1 pick with the Giants winning their game earlier in midday. Daniel Carlson 60-yard field to win the game. Tank off. Kenny Pickett. Or actually, Aiden O'Connell playing this game for the Raiders. He finally got healthy against Chris Oludokun. O'Connell 10 of 22 for 102 yards. He's beyond bad. Bears finished 3-14 with number 1 pick. Chiefs finished 6-11. Obviously, a massive disappointing year for the Chiefs, coming off 3 straight Super Bowl appearances, including winning 2 of them. Rams over the Cardinals 37-20. Rams finished 12-5, the first wild card in the NFC. Arizona finished at 3-14, lose their last 9 games. Patriots dismantled the Dolphins 38-10. Patriots finished also at 14-3. It finishes with 2 in the AFC. Miami finishes at 7-10. Commanders over the Eagles, 24-17. Jalen Hurts did not play much in this game. Tanner McKee played most of it. He was 21 of 40 for 241 on a touchdown. Tank Bigsby ran for 75 yards on a touchdown. They fall to the 3 seed in the NFC. Bears end up with the 2 seed. And then the Steelers beat the Ravens in a crazy game, 26-24. The Pittsburgh Steelers clinched the AFC North at 10-7.
Goal. Hayward again. Pushed in, flag comes down. He has broken the play and he's in the end zone. We'll check the flag. It's ruled a touchdown. Lamar Jackson had it rejected, intercepted on the deflection. TJ Watt from Boswell for the lead. 3rd and 4. Steelers bring 4. Highsmith is there. Jackson got away. Now reloads and throws to Flowers downfield. He's got it for a touchdown. It's Gainwell running right, trying to get to the corner. In for the touchdown.
Shotgun.
3rd and 1. Fake to Henry Jackson. Shot downfield. Zay Flowers again. Zay Flowers inside the 20. He's going to go. Rodgers protected. Throws to Austin for the touchdown. The extra point from Boswell. Twisting. No good. No good. Buster awaits. It's going to be the speedy running back Mitchell from the 5. It's the numbers. Got a good return going. There goes Mitchell. Right around midfield. It's 4th and 7. Season on the line. Jackson lofting it up, and it is held on to by Isaiah Likely. Snap good. Hold it. The kick is no good. It is wide right.
4th game in this one. So started out with the Ravens leading 10-3, about 8.5 to go, 3rd quarter. Steelers direct snap to, I think that was to Cameron Haber, the defensive tackle, runs in for a touchdown to tie the game in the 3rd quarter at 10 apiece. Then, very next drive, 3rd and 9 for the Ravens. Lamar's pass to be blocked and then picked off by TJ Watt. A brutal interception there for Lamar Jackson. It's up a 25-yard field goal for Chris Boswell, who makes it 13-10. 4th quarter, less than 9 minutes to go. Lamar somehow escapes a sack and throws a beautiful ball over the top to Zay Flowers for the touchdown. 17-13 Ravens in the 4th quarter. Next drive, less than 4 minutes to go, 3rd and goal. Steelers running in. Kenneth Gainwell makes it 20-17 Steelers. A couple plays later, 3rd and 1 in your own territory. Wide open Zay Flower on a busted coverage. Flag goes on the Steelers, so it gets called, so touchdown stands. 24-20 Ravens, but then a minute to go. Steelers driving Aaron Rodgers to a wide open Calvin Austin, another blown coverage in this game. A lot of those in this game. It was 26-24. Chris Boswell misses the extra point with 55 seconds left, meaning the Ravens, whose offense is on fire at this point, with 55 seconds and all 3 timeouts, have a chance to get a field goal and win the game and the division and knock out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chris Boswell's kickoff will be fielded by Keaton Mitchell around the 5-yard line. He put together a great return to almost midfield. The Ravens in a great position, 47 seconds, no timeouts, between all 3 timeouts. And 4th and 7, less than 20 seconds left. Great catch by Isaiah Likely, puts the Ravens in field goal range, which set up Tyler Loop from 44 yards, and he pushes it to the right. A brutal way for the Ravens season to end. Steelers win 26-24. I'll say this. I think it was a mistake by the Ravens. The play before that, you had like 15 seconds or so. You have a timeout, and you took a knee. You have Derrick Henry. At least hand the ball off to him. I know you don't want to fumble, but and he has had a couple of bad fumbles in this season, but you just tell him, hold on to the ball. He's Derrick Henry. Worst case, he gets 1 yard. You call a timeout. It's really no difference. Best case, he gets you, turns up from a 44-yarder to a 32-yarder. Remember, you lost like 2 yards by taking a knee. I didn't make any sense. If you're really worried, have him run to the sideline. So if he does fumble, it goes out of bounds. Even if he gets 3 yards, he turns a 42 or 4th yard into a 39-yarder. Makes your kicker all that more confident. But still, Tarlip should have made it. However, y'all gotta stop with these horrendous messages on his fiance's Instagram post about them getting engaged. That's disgusting. Some people just have no chill and have something just completely wrong with them. It really isn't that deep. Ravens fall to the Steelers 26-24. And the next day was, of course, Black Monday. Over the last couple of days, we had some head coach firings. Cleveland Browns fire Kevin Stefanski after 6 seasons. He goes 45-56. 2 playoff appearances, 1 playoff win. Was coach of the year twice in multiple seasons that he went to the playoffs. Not surprised he got let go. Ring was kind of on the wall. But I don't really blame him. That's a very bad situation there. You're paying Deshaun Watson all that money to be a horrendous person off the field and be terrible on the field, and now he's injured, but didn't play this whole season. You had Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, and Joe Flacco for about 6 weeks till he was traded as your quarterbacks. A very bad team. Not sure what you expected. He's been fired. He's going to have a couple interviews lined up already. Falcons fire Raheem Morris after 2 seasons and go 16-18. I think this is the right call. Raheem Morris was a terrible hire. He's 20 games under 500 for his career as a head coach in like 5 or 6 seasons, and 2 stints combined. He was the head coach somewhere else years ago for a different team. Not a bad defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, he just isn't good enough. We had the other firings. Arizona Cardinals fire Jonathan Gannon after 3 seasons, 15-36. This was one I couldn't tell if they're going to do or not, just because I'm not sure what direction they're going. If they're going to draft the quarterback, then you're probably firing him. If you're not drafting a quarterback, you're going to maybe get rid of Kyler, which they have not away, I would think, and sign a veteran like Malik Willis for a year, see what happens. Maybe give him one more year, but he was only 15-36, had a brutal season this year. They lost their last 9 games. We're not competitive down the stretch. Obviously, we all remember that Hard Knock speech, like, oh, fire in your gut thing. It did not hit like we all thought it would. I'm not surprised that he got let go. The Las Vegas Raiders fired Pete Carroll after 1 season. This just never made any sense. He obviously very accomplished coach, won a Super Bowl in Seattle in 2013, almost won in 2014, but was never a fit. They wanted Ben Johnson, they didn't get him. They panicked, took Pete Carroll, and it was a horrific 1 year for them. Just 3 wins. He's out. And the Baltimore Ravens yesterday shocked the world and fired John Harbaugh after 18 seasons, 180 regular season wins, and a Super Bowl trophy back in 2012. So look, I was surprised. I didn't think they would do it, but I see why. They've had Lamar Jackson for 8 years. They've won just 3 playoff games in that span. I think a lot of that is on Lamar Jackson, but still, Harbaugh is the head coach. He's got 3 playoff wins in 8 years with Lamar Jackson. Overall, he's only 2 games over 500 in the postseason. He's had a lot of elite players on defense. He's had a lot of great teams. He's had Lamar Jackson, who, yes, I think we need to have a conversation where later on he'll ever win a Super Bowl, but he is probably one of the 5 best quarterbacks on the planet. He has won an MVP twice, and he was drafted that years ago. Some of his decision-making in recent years has been questionable. He's cost them a few games. They've blown a lot of games last year that they should have won. Some of their offensive game plans the last couple of years and some big games have not been good enough, especially in the postseason. Apparently, he had kind of lost the locker room. Lamar Jackson and others were preferred a different voice, a different coach next year. And apparently, the team wanted him to fire offensive coordinator Todd Monken. He didn't want to do it. Apparently, Lamar and Todd Monken did not get along for a lot of the season. Their relationship soured and became very awkward. So it looks like he'll be getting fired too. So Harbaugh is now available. He's on the open market. The guys that are coming back, Bengals like to bring back head coach and GM Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin. I don't understand. Zach Taylor is not that good of a head coach. He's been there 6 years. He's missed the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years with frickin' Joe Burrow. I guess he was injured a lot this year, but still. There's a couple of games that he cost him. He's not a good head coach. And Duke Tobin's been there forever. His roster construction's terrible. Not sure whether they ever brought him back, to be honest. Colts bring back Shane Second and Chris Ballard. I understand it. Look, Chris Ballard is not that good of a GM. 1 playoff win in 9 years is in a pretty easy division. It's not good enough. But if you either got to fire both or bring them both back. Steichen, get what he gets another year. They did lose Daniel Jones down the stretch this year. That probably doesn't happen if he was healthy. He was playing really well. But I have a feeling he made the call to bring in Philip Rivers, which, great story. He actually did a pretty good job. Was never really a very good idea, especially considering Roy Leonard actually played pretty well in Week 18 against the league's best defense, granted the much what they were playing everybody. But they are coming back. Johnson bring back general manager Joe Shane. I would not have done that. I know he had recently had a good draft this year, taking Jackson Dart, taking Cam Scatterbo. Those were some good picks, but again, just paying Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. Jones leaves, he gets a lot better. The Dable stuff, and just letting Xavier McKinney walk out your door, and just I don't know if I trust him to make this next head coach hire. As for some coordinators who got let go, Dallas Cowboys fired defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. Jerry Jones came out and said a couple weeks ago that it's going to be an easy decision. It was kind of on the wall. Dallas was ranked the worst defense in the NFL, I think by yards allowed, something like that. Thinking they were last in total defense. The problem with Eberflus in Dallas, he doesn't blitz. That's his defense. He doesn't blitz. Well, first of all, I don't think he's that good of a coordinator, honestly. Obviously was a horrific head coach for the Bears, but even with the Colts, he was just an okay defensive coordinator, I thought. I thought that was a horrible hire to begin with, but both for Chicago and even for Dallas. I know Micah Parsons was going to get traded, but when you have him not on your team and now you have a pretty weak pass rush, you have to blitz to get pressure on the quarterback. And now your coordinator is his defense that he runs, he doesn't like to blitz. He blitzes, some of the least amount of any coordinator in the league. So that was never going to work. The Commanders, they fired defensive coordinator Joe Witt, and the Cliff Kingsbury, their offensive coordinator, just left. He decided to leave to pursue other opportunities as either a head coach or an offensive coordinator somewhere else. He should be head coach. Okay? He's not a good head coach, but I'll take him as an offensive coordinator. He left, and the Lions fired offensive coordinator John Morton. Not surprised. They stripped him of the play calling duties midway through the season. Dan Campbell took him over. I thought it was a questionable hire even to begin with. He was Denver's quarterback's coach last year. I didn't think he did a whole lot. He was also with the Jets years ago. Wasn't very good. Was only there for like a year. He's now been fired by the Detroit Lions. In terms of head coach interviews, Stefanski's interviewing with the Giants, the Titans, and the Falcons. Raheem Morris is getting a couple of interviews. He's interviewing with the Titans, I think a couple of our team, which is shocking. Falcons also requested to interview Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator. Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins defensive coordinator. They also requested to interview Bears assistant GM Ian Cunningham because they also fought their general manager Terry Fontenot. Team was 37-48 in his 5 seasons. They definitely need a change. And Ian Cunningham has been a top GM candidate for years, but has not been able to land a job. The Falcons are bringing him in. The Giants are going to speak to Mike McCarthy. Of course, won a Super Bowl with the Packers in 2010. Was recently with the Dallas Cowboys. Was fired after last year. He's going to interview with the New York Giants. So that's most of the coaching the major stuff I have so far for that. But I also want to take a look at the NFL draft order as what it looks like for the non-playoff teams. Don't know the playoff teams yet, obviously, until they lose in the playoffs. The Las Vegas Raiders have the first pick. Jets have the second pick. Cardinals are at 3. Tennessee Titans at 4. 5 is the Giants. Browns at 6. Commanders at 7. Saints at 8. Chiefs at 9, which is who would have thought that though at the start of the year. Bengals at 10. Dolphins at 11. Cowboys at 12. The Rams have had the Falcons pick from last year, and the Falcons traded back up into the first round to take James Pierce. They have 13. Ravens have 14. The Bucks have 15. Jets have 16. They have the Colts pick from the Saul Scarborough trade, also have their pick next year. Lions have 17. And the Minnesota Vikings have the 18th pick in the NFL draft. So first of all, before we close this thing down with some wrestling, I want to congratulate Cole Van Lanen, Jaguars offensive tackle. He gets a 3-year, $51 million extension with $32.5 million guaranteed. Played very well this year, stepping in for some majors on the Jaguars offensive line. So kudos to him. The Falcons reworked Kirk Cousins' deal. This whole thing is kind of complicated, but he's taking like a huge cap hit in 2027 and a pay cut next year. They have until March 13th to really decide if they want to keep him on the roster or not before his guaranteed money really kicks in. And going to college football, Texas Tech has signed Brandon Sorsby, former Cincinnati quarterback, to an NIL deal worth roughly $4.6 million. This is a great pickup for Texas Tech. Your lack of a passing knowledge was the reason that You were eliminated in embarrassing fashion in the first round of the college football playoff despite having a $28+ million roster. And with Cincinnati, he completed 61% of his passes for 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns against 5 interceptions. Also ran for 580 yards and 9 touchdowns. Was maybe the best player in the entire portal available. And he commits to Texas Tech. And the Penn State quarterback Ethan Grunkmeyer heading to Virginia Tech follows former Penn State coach James Franklin to Virginia Tech. He was pretty good down the stretch, replacing an injured Drew Aller, and he heads to Virginia Tech. And 2 guys declared for the draft. Well, first of all, Carmel Tate, Ohio State star receiver, declared for the draft. Same with their star linebacker, Arvo Reese. And star safety Caleb Downs, who might be the best player on the entire draft. He declared as well. Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson declared for the draft. I think this is a mistake by him. I don't think he's right. I don't think he's very good. I think he should have stayed another year. That being said, with this very weak quarterback class, he could be a first-round pick. And last thing I'll talk about is the New York Rangers had some injuries. Star goal Igor Shesterkin heading to injured reserve, got hurt in their last game, some sort of knee injury. Lower body injury. Adam Fox, a week after coming back from injured reserve for a shoulder injury, missing 14 games, he's back on long-term injured reserve with the same shoulder injury. So Rangers season pretty much feels over. Let's get to some wrestling. Friday Night SmackDown from Friday of last week. Main point to miss. The Miz was cutting a promo to start, poking fun at John Cena retiring and saying how he's the locker room leader, how he deserves more respect. And Randy Orton came out and made his triumphant return, and then RKO'd The Miz. Was very funny. Then we had Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley defeat the Kabuki Warriors and Lash Legend and Nia Jax. 8-woman tag team match. Bliss and Flair told Rio ahead of their tag team title match that they want next if they win. And then Matt Cardona was the mystery opponent to face Kit Wilson. He's back in WWE as Matt Cardona. Of course, he was known as Zack Ryder. Matt Cardona's his running that he went under on TNA and the Indies. He always said that he would go back to WWE under the name Matt Cardona. He got his wish. Kudos to him. He defeated Kit Wilson. I will say Kit Wilson, he's not super relevant, but he's not horrendous in the ring, and his theme song is pretty catchy. He's kind of over with the crowd, which is crazy. He's definitely embraced his job role for sure. Then Sami Zayn cut a promo promising to become a world champion in 2026. And then Trick Williams recently called from NXT, interrupted him and saying, unlike him, it won't take him 20 years to be a world champion. And this week on SmackDown, they will have a match. And the U.S. title, Carmelo Hayes continued the open challenge. He defeated Johnny Gargano in a one-on-one match. By the way, Tommaso Ciampa, Gargano's longtime partner, is going to be leaving WWE very soon, which is very unfortunate. But best of wishes to him. Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace, who just called from NXT, had a verbal competition backstage. Beefab and Misha both got hurt. So now she needs a new feud. Her title reign's been very bad so far, but hope she gets something fresh with Jordan Grace. I'm very happy he's on the main roster. There was just nothing for her to do with NXT. She probably could have came right to the main roster, to be honest. And then Women's U.S. Championship. Joy defeated Chelsea Green to win the title for the second time. And the Women's U.S. title's been booked so bad. Hopefully they give Julia a fresh feud upon her winning it for a second time. And then Damian Priest defeated Aleister Black in an ambulance match. Overall, a good match. Put an end to a very overly long feud. Kind of drag at the end where, Priest put Black through a table, tried to open the door. It wouldn't open, so he opened the side door and then opened the doors and threw him in. It kind of was a little bit too slow, but overall, a very good match. Was fun to watch, and hopefully that feud is finally over. Monday Night Raw, the 1-year anniversary of Raw Netflix, first Raw of the year. Women's Tag Team Championship match. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky against the Kabuki Warriors. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky win the Women's Tag Team Championships. Very good match. It was very closely Rhea and Io pick up the win. They're very, very good together. Obviously, a lot of chemistry in this match. Then Gunther cut his promo. AJ Styles came out a little angry, and then he slapped Gunther in the face. They went head to head, and then backstage, Gunther went up to Adam Pearce and was screaming at him. Then Styles came out, called him a bitch, take his own medicine. And this coming week on Raw, we will get Gunther against AJ Styles in the first time ever match. That should be a fantastic match. We'll say I'm very disappointed how Gunther's heat is just gone. The fact that he keeps having to say over and over again, like, oh, I made John Cena tap out like a bitch, shows you, like, he shouldn't have to continually say that. Like, the heat's just gone. The first week, he got a lot of good heat. Second week, it was still there for the most part, but it's gone. It's gone. This is why you shouldn't have had him be his last opponent, because, you know, he just wouldn't be able to generate the heat that you would have wanted. He just wouldn't be able to do it. And then we had the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Maxine Dupree against Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch defeats her. Alfie cheats to win, and she wins back the IC title. Overall, a solid match. This makes sense. Becky elevated Maxine Dupree. Now put the title back on her. Let her do her thing. I'm assuming AJ Lee will probably fight her for the title at WrestleMania. I expect them to probably have some sort of run at the Royal Rumble. We'll see what happens with that. Then we have the Usos cut a promo. That was a waste of time. Jay Uso's theme hit. Can they go back to the Usos theme song? Why is Jay's playing for the both of them? Of course, they just won the World Tag Team titles. And then they hit it again. They both talked for about 2 minutes, and then that was it. Complete waste of a segment. They gotta stop this Jay Uso thing. Yeats is just enough. Then something that Kara cut up promo, and she was attacked by Raquel Rodriguez. Again, not a whole lot to see there. It was a good beatdown angle, but problem is, like, not a whole lot of people want to see Raquel and Raquel. It's clear that the end game is her and Liv Morgan. I expect Liv to win the Rumble. Then Lyra Valkyria fought Liv Morgan in the match. That was a really good match. Liv Morgan picks up the win. Overall, I thought it was a very good match in that one. And then the main event was a World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Braun Breaker. Was an incredible match, but a horrific ending of CM Punk winning. Why would you do this? On top of, you all know how I feel about CM Punk. I think he's an arrogant, pathetic, selfish asshole. Why would you have CM Punk win this match? This is a perfect opportunity for you to put over your young, up-and-coming star, and you don't do it. Perfect opportunity. Of course, you had the Vision interfere, and then the Luchadors interfere, Ray, Dragon Lee, and Ray Fenix, which I do want to see more of those guys. They should be a lot of fun, but why? I don't understand. Braun didn't hit one spear in the match. I don't get it. You had Punk use the STF. You used like 4 GTSs. Braun uses a GTS. No sense. A horrific finish. Also, the Stranger Things theme was stupid. Like, I'm not a fan of the show. I will admit, I think it's dumb. But the show's over now. Not one cast member could show up. Really? Are you kidding me? It was just all these weird creatures running around during the segment. It was so stupid and dumb. Just pathetic. And just a horrendous ending to Raw, which should have had more surprises with, trying to make a splash, and you didn't do it. But let's look at NXT. Overall, an exciting show. At New Year's Evil, first NXT of the year. Started off with Blake Monroe. She's supposed to go one-on-one against Thea Hale in a match for the NXT North American Championship, the Women's NXT North American Championship, and she attacked her before the match, and then Ava Raine kicked her out of the arena, and then she yelled on the microphone, put Tatum and Izzy Dane on. They had their match. Tatum Paxley picks up the win. Ricky Saints cut a promo, kind of a cryptic threat, so we'll see what happens. I expect him and Ethan Page to kind of be carrying NXT this year with everyone else going to the main roster. Then NXT Women's Championship, Jason J defeated Kendall Gray to retain NXT Women's Championship in a solid match. Jason J is definitely the women's breakout star of NXT. Then Thea Hale came out, still beating better from the attack, and says, I promise you all a championship match. Then all of a sudden, like, the whole locker room was coming out, being held back, and then all of a sudden from behind, she was attacked by Izzy Dane, who has her second match of the night, and she wins the North American Championship in a shocking turn of events. I wonder if now this will mean the third match between Izzy and Tatum Paxley, with Tatum probably winning the NXT North American Championship. And NXT Championship, Obafemi against Leon Flair in a great match. Obafemi wins. Then, the last 2 minutes of the show, you have Ava Raine talking to the whole locker room, saying, like, there's going to be room for more call-ups. And then Robert Stone breaks in, and he's like, Ava, sorry to interrupt, but do you see what Oba did? She's like, what? And then all of a sudden it cuts to the NXT Championship sitting in the middle of the ring as he relinquishes the title of Tony D'Angelo looking on. A absolute banger end to NXT. That was NXT. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.